Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today's build is about changes. No, I'm not talking about my channel, I am talking about builds. Now, sometimes we buy things with the intent of making something out of them, and other times we buy them just to have those items as they are. Sometimes you want to combine things together, kind of kit bash it to make it something different. And that's the approach I'm taking to this build today. Is I have two objects, a 3D printed Mandalorian helmet and a resin cast Kabal mask. Both I purchased from Jose Madera and aka PR Props. So I thought I could combine them together and make one unique thing. At least that's the game plan. Now this will require me to combine both filament to resin to hot glue to a number of other materials. So we'll see how they play well with each other. Today we're kit bashing a helmet out of a mask. Let's get to build. I bought both of these items from Jose Madera, aka PR Props, from his website. I've bought dozens of things from him and have greatly enjoyed the friendship that has developed over the past few years, sharing our ideas, techniques, and just lifting each other up when changes come our way. So please go and check out his stuff. Links are in the description below the video. Sub to his stuff, like his creations, and buy something if you can. A vast majority of this build is sanding. The helmet is a 3D print with XTC resin on top of it to start the smoothing process. The resin cast is a smooth cast 300 slush casting of Jose's Sculpt. So while I am changing this helmet into something new, I'm going to pepper in some thoughts I've been having about changes and how they affect us. This is the nerve-wracking part of the entire build, where I butcher both pieces with a cutting wheel on my rotary tool, trying not to cut my hand in half or ruin my props. Make sure to wear a respirator with a face shield because parts will be flying. I will admit this is a weird mashup. Part Mando, part Kabal. It sounds like a cosplay with an identity crisis, but stick with me, this helmet isn't just a prop. It's a reminder that life's all about changes and how we face it. I did not draw anything out, just looked at the parts and thought maybe this could combine with this part. Much like this helmet, we don't always know what we're becoming while we're in the process. We just have to go with the flow and figure things out as things go along. I have cut Kabal into pieces, and Mando's visor opening has been modified to accept the basic shape. Now I'm using some hot glue to temporarily hold the parts in place and reinforce the 3D print on the unsupported edges for now. I will make it all strong in a minute. The Mandalorian adapt to surviving by never showing their faces. Kabal adapted after, well, being lit on fire. Talk about needing a glow up. Both had to change who they were to move forward. So maybe you're not facing a fireball, but maybe you've been burned. Adapt, reforge, upgrade. Every prop starts as a raw material, just like every person starts with potential. It's the cuts, bends, and layers that make it something worth showing off. Sometimes your first idea isn't your best one, but it leads you to something better. Move shapes around and figure out where they work best. These respirator cartridges came with the Kabal mask. I had to sand them a bit to make them lay flat in the recesses of the Mandalorian's cheeks. Once again, hot glue will be my temporary hold for now. Then I added screws on the inside for a mechanical connection. If change was easy, hot glue wouldn't burn, paint wouldn't take 8 coats, and I wouldn't feel the need to reinforce parts multiple times. Over-engineering and preparing for these things to go wrong can put you in front of the life curve. We know that trouble may come or situations may change, and the better we get to planning contingencies, the easier circumstances get when the world around us falls apart. Life will never get easier. You just get better at handling things when they get harder. Even with my copious amounts of hot glue, I still have pretty large gaps, and I'm going to build a plug with this metal duct tape, foil to build up a shape, and then apply an epoxy mixture like clay over it all. This will help me bridge gaps and reinforce those parts. As I stare at this helmet, it's kind of reached that ugly stage. It looks broken. My life feels like that sometimes too. Change doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're brave enough to become something more. Fear of change is really just the fear of the unknown, but every maker knows you have to trust the process. Progress doesn't always look like motion. Sometimes it's stillness while you figure things out. So whether you're reworking a mask or your mindset, remember, evolution doesn't mean losing yourself. It means building a stronger version of you one piece at a time. Now time to tie things together. I'm using a product called Airform by Smooth-On to sculpt parts in between parts. It is a 2 equal parts mix that will harden into a solid mass. Initially, it's very hard to work with as it wants to stick to everything, but as it starts to set up, you can shape it like clay. This will also help me to reinforce and unify my various materials without adding a lot of weight as it's extremely light. You know what sculpting teaches you? That removing something is just as important as adding something. When you start with a block of clay or foam or whatever, it's full of potential, but not purpose. You don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. So little by little, you chip away. You carve, you shape, you mold, and the crazy part, the real form only starts to show up once you let go of what doesn't belong. Now it's more sanding. Here I'm trying to add panels to tie them into what Jose has sculpted on the mask. So with a lower powered rotary tool and various clay carving tools, I chip away at the partially cured resin. You ever get to parts in a build where something just doesn't look right? Maybe a corner's off, a curve doesn't match, or a detail you thought would work just doesn't. So you grab the sanding block or the rotary tool and you start carving it back. That's exactly what change feels like sometimes. Life throws us curveballs, things that we never planned for. Loss, setbacks, failure, and just like on a build, we've got two choices. Leave the flaw and pretend it works, or sand it down and start reshaping. Some of the best details on my props came from fixing mistakes. Some of the best growth in life, same story. Change is life's way of handing you a sanding block. Most of my focus has been on the front, so I need to show a little love to the back panel. Here are some resin casts from an Evil Ted mold, some bolts, screws, and other greeblies to make something interesting. Those with a keen eye will see my first triangle is not centered, so I had to adjust it. Super glue is kinda like some life choices. You thought you were sure, it felt right, you pressed it down, and then boom, wrong angle, wrong spot, wrong fit. But here's the truth, just because something's stuck doesn't mean you're stuck. You might have to break it apart. You might have to start over. You might even damage a piece in the process, but you can recover. You can rebuild. Change, real change, means admitting something isn't working, even if you already committed to it. Now onto many layers of paint. I hit it with 2 coats of automotive primer to fill in gaps, a layer of black spray paint as my base color, then a light dusting of silver, brown, and black for an aged metal look. With all of these base colors down, I'm now going to tape and mask off areas I want to stay silver. I'm using tape for the straight lines and large areas and toothpaste for the scratches and more organic bits. Masking tape is one of the most underrated tools in the shop. It doesn't hold things together, really, it holds things back, just for a little while to protect them from paint, from mess, from getting hit too soon. Sometimes in life, you've got areas that are off limits. For now, parts of yourself that need a little more time before they're exposed to the world. That's okay, because when the time's right and the layers are built up, you pull the tape back and what's underneath? Sharp, clean, ready. Growth doesn't mean rushing everything at once. Real change knows when to wait and when to reveal. I know what you're thinking right now. Why on earth did you pick those colors? Yes, they are bright, and yes, it looks stupid right now. Yet another ugly phase in the process. I'm scraping away my toothpaste layer and know that there are additional steps to this paint job that will make the color scheme look a lot better. I was looking at my wall of inspiration and noticed a lack of green and yellow, and these were the colors of spray paint that I had on hand. I will make adjustments. It will not look like a bright French pastry or a colored Easter egg when I'm done with it. Trust the process. Paint can cover a world of mistakes and completely change how a prop looks. In total, I spent over half of my hours working on this project painting. The layers are important to sell this as something other than plastic or resin. That buildup makes it feel real also. Clean builds are cool, but let's be honest, it's weathering that brings a prop to life. Let the grime settle into the details and suddenly there's history, there's story, there's depth. Life throws some weathering at you. Hard days, broken plans, the stuff that doesn't wipe off so easy. And at first, it just feels like damage. But give it time, let it settle, let it highlight who you really are. Because the things we go through don't break us, they help define us. They show our texture, our character, our resilience. The last bit of paint, I swear, is highlighting some of those edges, bringing out those last bits of detail back to the surface. I'm using rub and buff, just hitting the edges and all the screws, bolts, and rivets to make them stand out. This very small step makes everything pop. Highlights don't just add brightness, they show where the light hits after the shadows. Highlights don't erase the wear, they celebrate it. That's what change does too. It's not always obvious while you're in it. It's a mess, dark, and honestly, kind of exhausting. But when the dust settles, you start to see the edges of who you've become. They're shiny. to cap off all of this build and my endless amount of metaphors and similes, I'm going to add some lenses with lights built into them that I bought off Amazon. Lighting always makes a build seem more real. I hot glue them into the inside and call it a day. Thanks so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this build and learned a little bit in the process. Thanks to Jose for making awesome stuff and sharing it with the world. I'll leave you with one last thought before the outro. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to grow, because with every cut, every shift, every lesson, you build something amazing. And if nobody's told you lately, I'm proud of how far you've come. Where you are now may not be perfect, but it's proof that you're still moving. Keep making, keep changing, keep sharing your creativity. And we are finished. Here is the end result. Overall, I think it turned out pretty cool. It is not Kabal anymore. It's not the Mandalorian anymore. It's something in between. To me, it kind of gives a Space Marine or Fallout vibe to it. And I definitely could see this being an awesome cosplay, full kitted out armor. I'm not saying or committing to that, but it would be a cool thing to kind of piece out. Yeah. Maybe you will try and make something like this yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to pull from this and that and make something that is relatively awesome sauce. Yeah. Maybe you'll get some.
Yay!
And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these. You can tell them, much props. We all go through changes in life, and sometimes they're as simple as a haircut or a job or whatever, so don't be afraid to change. Peace out. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and you'd like to see more builds like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.